Every Ram, Dodge, and Jeep dealer is in danger of being shut down, and the CEO doesn't even seem to care. Over the last few years, Stellantis CEO Carlos Tavaris has been making some terrible decisions. Ram got rid of the Hemi V8 and replaced it with a turbo 6-cylinder. Dodge killed the Hellcat Challenger and replaced it with this EV trash that nobody likes or even asked for. And Jeep continues to raise prices, despite some of the lowest sales numbers in the car market today. Ram, Dodge, and Jeep are struggling to sell their vehicles. And in today's video, I'm going to show you exactly why that's happening. And we're going to start right here with the Ram trucks, because there's a pretty big problem, several problems that are happening with the new 2025 models coming out and the outgoing 2024s. They're going to cause a little bit of an issue. And the first issue is what I can show you on this truck right here. Ram got rid of the Hemi V8 and replaced it with a turbo 6-cylinder engine. Now, with the turbo 6-cylinder, there's some good things and some bad things about it. So we'll start with the good about Ram introducing a turbo 6-cylinder. And it's not just a normal turbo 6-cylinder, it's an inline twin turbo 6-cylinder engine, which an inline 6 is something that's really, really nice, easier to work on, but at the same time, with all the electronic gizmos and gadgets and emission things going on, it's probably not going to be as easy as like some of the older JDM turbo engines of the past, like back in the 90s. And a lot of companies, including Ford and Toyota, have been getting rid of their super reliable V8 engines, and so far that hasn't turned out very good for them at all. Ford has recalled almost 90,000 of the Broncos with the turbo engines. There's been massive failures of the turbo engines in the F-150, and it just keeps getting worse. And on the Toyota side, their turbo engines in the new Tundra have been basically just grenading themselves, and they're gonna have to replace just about every single turbo engine that they've sold in just about any Tundra ever. So now that Ram is switching to the twin turbo Hurricane engine, and it's going to go in other models like the Jeep Wagoneer and stuff like that. The biggest issue with Ram switching to this motor is the potential for engines to start grenading themselves, just like they're doing with Ford, just like they're doing with Toyota, and overall being less reliable than the non-turbo engines that they've used for so long in the past. And not to mention how good something like this Ram Rebel sounds when it has the V8 engine in it. Because my cousin actually has a Ram Rebel, a little bit older, I think it's a 2019 model, but it looks exactly like this. And he got the V8 engine in it, and it has an aftermarket exhaust, and it sounds just perfect. And I know for the automotive enthusiasts who like that V8 sound, you're just not gonna feel that or get that or hear that in the twin turbo 6-cylinder engines. It's just not gonna happen. The second thing that's pretty, I think, tragic when it comes to the Ram pickup trucks is they're getting rid of this. That would be the Ram 1500 Classic. And this Ram 1500 Classic is pretty much the entry-level 4-door full-size Ram pickup truck that just has like kind of the base of everything with maybe a little bit of creature comfort. But that means overall Ram trucks are going to get even more expensive, even if they're selling slower than any of the other truck brands that we have today. And you would think a Ram 1500 Classic would be like low 40s, mid 40s maybe. You'd actually be wrong. A Ram 1500 Classic in this Warlock trim level is going to cost you $50,360. But after that Ram Warlock, they start to get even more expensive. So your entry level going into 2025 is going to be over 50 grand, which to me is just kind of crazy. Let me show you how high these Ram trucks can get. This is a Ram 1500 Limited SST with the high output twin turbo 6-cylinder engine. And it's got all the chrome fancy bits and the city wheels, you know, because they're not like off-road wheels. You know what I mean by city wheels. This is a city truck. It's a city truck. People are going to use it to go to the office and back. So this is a brand new 2025 Limited Crew Cab 4x4 with the 3-liter Hurricane engine. But this trim level is $79,435. And if you want to spend even more money, you can get this right here. 2500 heavy duty with the Cummins turbo diesel, and wait for it, $94,105. That just makes me crap my pants, which is totally insane. And another 1500 Classic right here. Oh, we found one for $49,800. But it does have the 3-liter V6 and it is a non-turbo. So it looks like $49,800 is as cheap as it's getting right now as far as what's on this lot here. And that's the 1500 Classic, like I said, is going away at the end of the 2024 model year. But enough about Ram. Let me show you one huge problem that Dodge is having. But before we get to Dodge, I want to show you something, a Ram that I've never seen at a dealership before. I've seen it on the road, but it is very expensive, but also very cool. But again, very expensive. This is the Ram AEV Prospector XL in the 2500 heavy duty with 40-inch tires, which is just absolutely insane. And the AEV front bumper with all the lights to make sure you can blind people going in traffic towards you. And you're probably never gonna guess how much this Ram truck actually costs with all this AEV equipment. Of course, we can't forget the Bilstein 8100s, but this price is crazy. $131,892. And this package costs $39,277 to add all of this AEV stuff to this Ram truck. All right, anyways, back to Dodge's biggest problem. That's gonna be this little Dodge Hornet here. They have over a year's worth of inventory of these little Dodge Hornets. And you can see right here, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they got a cheap one here, cheap. And the problem with this is, for what you get in the competition that's in this like subcompact little SUV market. Well, I can't see the price on this one because they have this big ass sticker over it, but the base price is $31,400 with some stuff added to it, but I can't see that. But they got another one here. We'll look at this one here. That's a RT, and this sticker's not blocked. 2024 Hornet RT. Blacktop, all-wheel drive, 1.3 liter turbo, and a 6-speed auto transmission, $44,590. This is also an RT Hornet, $47,180. And we got another RT here, and another gold-looking RT right here. And this one is also $44,720. Not sure if you can see that there. But the problem is, if someone's looking for a mid-40s sporty little SUV, there's a lot better options that you can go with, like let's say the Toyota RAV4, that's around the same price, and we know that that is super reliable. These have the Fiat engines in them, and we don't know the reliability, and the RAV4 is just honestly, in my opinion, a better deal than this Dodge Hornet. That's why they have over a year's worth of these stacked up on the lot. But another big issue for Dodge is that they've taken the Challenger that had like the awesome Hellcat motor and was just a drag racing beast, and they've basically turned it into this electrified pile of garbage with fake exhaust sounds and this like hatchback that they're like, look at all the storage you have. Well, have you ever seen the trunk in the current Challenger? You could fit like tons of stuff in there without it being this weird hatchback electronic thing that honestly nobody wants. And so another mistake Dodge is making, in my opinion, is redesigning the Challenger to be less of a muscle car and more of just a daily driver commuter car, which in my opinion is super dumb. People buy these little SUVs for that. Just listen to what a Hellcat sounds like. And compare that to this fake exhaust sound from the new EV Charger. And honestly, after seeing and hearing that and the response from people, you would think Dodge would just scrap that project entirely and then change it to something cool. And they're not. They're just not listening to their customers when it comes to that Charger. But that's it for Dodge. So we went through Ram, went through Dodge. Now we need to talk about Jeep, because I've got a little bone to pick with Jeep. Now, if we're gonna talk about Jeep, we gotta talk about the most popular Jeep in their lineup, and that's the Jeep Wrangler, and specifically the Jeep Wrangler Rubicon. These Rubicon Wranglers have jumped astronomically in price. So here is basically the most fully kitted out Rubicon that you can get without the Extreme Recon package, with the Warn winch and the 33s and the leather interior. And this is gonna run you a ridiculous amount of money. $68,930 for a Jeep Wrangler Rubicon. And that just is mind-blowing. The Rubicon Wrangler, and Wranglers in particular, have just gone up like 10 to 20 grand over like something like my 2019 model. Now, here's the crazy thing about the pricing on these new Jeep Wranglers. So I recently last summer of like 23, bought a used 2019 Wrangler Rubicon with basically everything except one option, and that was the one that keeps your cruise control, speeding up and slowing down, and the lane keeping assist thing, which I don't like that stuff anyways. I can do that myself. Let me show you, compared to my 2019, how in just a few short years, the prices of these have just jumped up astronomically. So here's a little shot of the window sticker of my 2019. And as you can see here, mine was $57,290 with everything but that one option that I explained. But I did not pay that. Like I said, I bought it used because a new one would be $68,000 to $70,000, and I'm just not going to pay that, especially doing these videos. I'm not going to pay outrageous prices on a new vehicle when I'm telling you guys not to do that. So I bought it used, and I actually found it, of all places, at CarMax. This was the original listing. It's a 2019 with 19,000 miles, which is basically nothing, especially from a 2019, so it wasn't driven that much, for $45,998. So by going with that used Wrangler Rubicon, which is basically the same as all of these new ones here, so instead of paying $68,000 for this, which is basically the same thing, like I've got the steel bumpers, I put an aftermarket winch in mine, and like I said, the only difference is that screen and the front grille. And there's one more thing, the axles are like full float, but that doesn't justify me spending $20,000 more on a new one for practically the same thing. And that $68,000 Rubicon is not the most expensive one. The 4xe gets really crazy as well, and as you can see, it is a Rubicon, and there's a little electric dealer-majigger right there where you charge it, but it's $4,000 more for the 4xe, bringing it to $72,135, which is just way too much for a Wrangler Rubicon. And that's why they have a whole row going all the way around here, and another row all the way across right here, and about half of these on this row are also Rubicons. But what might blow your mind even more is how much like a sport, cheaper version would be. So right behind me is one of the cheaper trim levels of the Jeep Wrangler, and the funny thing is, this low-end trim level is more expensive than the used 2019 Rubicon that I bought with only 19,000 miles. All black, pretty basic, plastic everything, these stupid arrow things, which I hate, and it's just a base model four-door Wrangler Sport S. 2024 four-door Sport S, $53,365. So if you're wanting to buy a Jeep Wrangler, my suggestion is don't buy a new 2024 Sport S. Buy a used 2019 Rubicon with a little bit of miles on it for like almost $10,000 less than a new 2024 base model Sport. Just blows my mind. These Jeep prices are just outrageous, and it's one of the reasons why all the Stellantis brands are struggling more than any of the other manufacturers. But enough about Jeep. I think you get the point on that. We've got one more thing here at the Dodge Ram Jeep Chrysler dealership that is a huge problem, and a brand that is iconic to America that more than likely is not going to be around anymore. Let me show you. So that brand that might not be around in a few years is Chrysler. And that's because out of all the vehicles they used to make in the past history, they only have two now. As a whole entire brand, all they sell are these two vehicles that I'm about to show you. They have the Chrysler 300, and we got these two right here. And what will those run you? So for this 2023 300S with the V8 engine, and before I tell you the price, I want to note one thing. If you notice that is a 2023 model, and we're nearing the final quarter of 2024. So that just tells you how long these two vehicles have been sitting on this lot. They still have 2023 models Chrysler 300 sitting here, and for this V8, it's $54,150. So these are really not selling very well. And I think in the 54,000 mark, there's just so many other options out there you could get a nice BMW or Mercedes. You could buy a Toyota Camry for a lot less than that, or a Corolla. And there's just other options available. And so it's really hard to justify spending that much money on a Chrysler 300, especially when used ones, they depreciate so fast, and you can get a way better deal than that new one. But the second vehicle that Chrysler has is this, the Chrysler Pacifica minivan. Some of what I see here just kind of blows my mind. You would think a minivan that's built for families would be a little bit more affordable, but that's not the case. So this Pacifica Touring with an appearance package is a 2024 model, and it'll run you $48,490. And I don't think I would just pay that much for a minivan. And if you're minivan shopping, a lot of people probably go for Toyota just because the reliability is there, and it's a really nice minivan. I usually see these Chrysler Pacificas as rentals. So most of the time when I see these, I don't really see that many families buying them. I always see them as rental cars, which is kind of interesting. But the crazy thing is, that's like an entry-level price of a Pacifica. This one here, that's a hybrid, probably gets you better gas mileage, but also is way more expensive. And here's what that'll run you. This is a 2024 plug-in hybrid for $58,455. I don't know about you, but for $58,000, I'm buying like an SUV like this Jeep Grand Cherokee right here. It's just much cooler, in my opinion, and it's a great looking vehicle. Now, one very interesting thing to note about Chrysler is that recently the great-grandson of Chrysler's founder wanted to actually rescue Chrysler and purchase it. But at the end of the day, Stellantis replied to him, and the CEO said that none of the brands are for sale. I feel like they would rather run Chrysler into the ground and just totally get rid of it than have anyone continue its legacy, which honestly is a little bit sad, I think. But I want to know what you think about everything that Jeep, Dodge, Ram, Chrysler, everything that they're going through. Do you think they kind of shot themselves in the foot with the way they were pricing and they're kind of get what's coming to them? Or do you think people just aren't as enthusiastic about this brand anymore? In my opinion, I just think the prices are way too high and they need to come down back to at least pre-pandemic levels. And some of that is seen with the incentives that a lot of these dealers give to get rid of these trucks. They're having to give 5, 10, 15, sometimes even 20 grand off of these Ram trucks just to get them off the lot. So in my opinion, I think their prices are just too high. I think they're really messing up with making the new Challenger fully electric. I think it's just a dumb decision. And I don't see very many people buying those whatsoever. And I'm not really sure what's going to happen to these dealerships. I don't know how, with the amount of cars they have on these floor plans, how they're making it every month. I feel like they're just barely squeaking by.